Will this be the most impressive, one of the most impressive seasons you've seen from a team that doesn't necessarily have like an all-time great player?
Well, number one,
they're on pace for 69.
So they're on pace for 69 wins. Number one, I think Evan Mobley's going to be an all-time great player. I think Donovan Mitchell also is going to be an all-time great player too. But with that being said, if I think about like 2016, that Warriors team, I'm not gonna put them in the same category with the Warriors in terms of how great the Warriors were, but like 2016 Warriors, the 96, 97 Bulls, the team that won 69 games. Like nobody talks about that team. That's one of the best teams I've ever seen. The 92 Bulls, no, they weren't that good. I'm not going to go.
But if we just look, I think
I'm not going to do that.
Swipe, but to your point though, I think about 10 years down the line, we're going to start seeing more teams like this that rattle off 68 wins a season and don't have that dominant player, because once again, we're starting to move towards roster construction instead of having your best player just be the deciding factor in playoff series. We're starting to lead more on having your 6 through 9 be really good and your 6 through 9 being able to start.
What does that mean though, John? What does that mean, that not dominant play? I think Donovan Mitchell's the best 2 guard in the game. I think Evan Mobley's the best defensive player in the game. These guys are dominant players.
He's not. I get that
because he's not Giannis, because he's not Joker.
Exactly.
I mean, he's
you're leaning on your leaning on
they
your
they aren't the best players in the world. Yes, that's right.
Yes,
but they are the best players in the world.
No, they're not.
Because I'm not. Wait a minute, I'm not the best. So I'm not the best player. Okay.
No, he's not that echelon of vet.
There's a difference between.
John D didn't say anything controversial here. He's saying he's not.
No, he
didn't. Have a
Jokic,
no, he
didn't. You're welcome, Ron.
A Luka, they don't have those players. They have really good players, all NBA caliber players, cool, but they don't have that tier 1 best player in the world conversation player. Normally, that's what you needed to be an all-time great team. You look at the 97 Bulls, the 96 Bulls, the 92 Bulls. You look at the 2016 Warriors, the 2017 Warriors, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan. You look at the Bucks with Kareem. You look at the Lakers with Magic and Kareem. You look at the Celtics with Larry Bird. You look at the Celtics with Bill Russell. You look at the Sixers with Wilt Chamberlain. Normally, you needed to have one of those guys who are arguably the best player in the world to rattle off these great regular seasons or these all-time great playoff runs. John D saying you probably don't need to have that anymore. That's what he's saying. That's not a knock on Donovan Mitchell.
And I got that. That part I get.
Yeah,
I 100% get. No, I 100% get that part. That does make sense. But I think where the buzzword was the dominant player.
Oh.
There's a difference. There's a difference to your point, John. With okay, no, they don't have Joker. They don't have Giannis. I'm not going to argue that point. No, they don't have Joker. They don't have Giannis. But they got a fringe top 10 player in the game who is a dominant player in Donovan Mitchell. We've seen him win playoff series. We have seen that. And with also them having a dominant player on the defense and Evan Mobley, who for all intents and purposes, I think he's the best defensive player in the game. So, I mean, I don't want to dismiss. I don't want to dismiss the fact that what I don't want it to sound like is I don't want it to sound like they got a bunch of just good players. No, they have elite players on their team.
Well,
they have a bunch of great players.
I understand your point.
They lean on their roster. They lean on their roster construction more than roster construction more than Donovan Mitchell being able to carry them. That's why his touches have went down this season. They're leaning on Evan Mobley taking a jump offensively, Darius Garland being the offensive player that they think he can be, Jared Allen being the perfect big next to Evan Mobley, Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter, and Max Strus, all those guys off the bench. I'm not saying that Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley aren't some of the better players in the league. What I'm saying is they're rather leaning on their roster construction instead of saying, okay, Donovan Mitchell, get me out of this situation. Okay, Darius Garland, get me out of this situation, because they know they have player 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that some of these other teams just don't have, and that's what they're leaning on.
Well, John D, to the point, and I want to be very clear about this because we talked about this a little bit last year. I think this is exactly what the NBA wanted. This is the definition of parity, and I think the CBA has split up the talent pool in the NBA to a degree that we're probably not going to see legitimate super teams. Legitimate. Now, I think the closest iteration to a super team, I think, in this era is probably going to end up being what the Celtics were last year. There will be other teams like that, I imagine, over the next 10 years because they're going to be like superstar role players in their role kind of thing. And you got like 2 high-end stars and something like that. We'll see other iterations of that. But chill, I think the point John D made that I feel like I've made as well, but I feel like this is a great point, John D, is that Tatum, even historically, is also like a very good player. I'm saying I'm going the last 2 years. I'm just going the last 2 years where we're going now.
How did you?
It's not a slander. This is what I'm saying. Stop
I'm
doing that.
listening. I'm listening.
Stop doing that.
I'm listening.
I'm saying that relative.
Well, I just want to know how they're a super team if they only got one top 30 player.
Top 30 player?
Well, yeah. I mean, y'all don't think any of them other guys are top 30?
No, I think JB was a top 30 player last year.
This year?
No, well, they're not as good this year.
But didn't you say that the closest thing that they're a super team? If there's a super team, it's them.
Yes,
I mean, hey,
I'm saying last year, yeah, they had 2 players. I think this is what I mean. They had 2 players that scored 40 points last night. We'll talk about them in a minute. That are not their max players. Chill. I mean, you're the historian. You've been around. You tell me when you've seen 2 role players put 2 40 balls up in the same game before, like for a team. Like legitimate. Like very curious to see if you can pull that up. Like if you can find that in your memory.
I've never seen that.
You've seen that.
I've never seen that before.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that's kind of where we're headed. And I think that typically teams like that we've seen with Steph Curry, even James Harden, like that 17-18 runs, like when they were winning like all those games and stuff, they still had like, these are like all-time great individual seasons, all-time great players type of thing. I think now the iteration of the NBA is going to be, that's just not going to be the priority. And because typically, go ahead, Ron.
Go ahead. I just got to push back when you're done, but go ahead. Completely.
Go ahead. You could do the pushback before I finish the point.
I'm just thank you, Swiper, for allowing me to step in and prove that what you guys are saying has some truth to it. But also, once again, even with the Boston Celtics, a lot of you guys will argue that Jason Tatum's a top 5, if not top 10 player. We're looking at SGA right now. They are right there neck and neck with the Cavaliers. I've been told he's having a historical season. He's top 3, 4 in the NBA. You have that. Also, some people believe that Nikola Jokic still exists and that he still will have an opportunity to run off championships in the future. He's still going to be around. He'll still be able to
He had a quiet 22 and 15 and 6 last night, by the way.
Also, look no further than LA. All of a sudden, they got 2 top 5 players. LeBron still got 1 or 2 more years to kick after this. You have that. And furthermore, wait, I got one more. Furthermore, it is a team in San Antonio that are brewing some things up. Wemby is ascending quickly. If they start winning and De'Aaron Fox does what he does, if De'Aaron Fox does what he did in Sacramento, all of a sudden we're gonna look at him as a top 20.
Ron,
20
I think
you're proving my point. Because
you guys are saying roster parity.
You interrupted a great soliloquy to make up a point that didn't make sense.
The point that I'm making
solidifying
is, so you
what
guys
we're
are saying. No, you guys are saying
Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox with a bunch of tier 1 role players would be an elite team.
Every championship team has tier 1 role players.
But I'm saying the difference is that
you got it. So the conversation started with the Cavaliers are winning without a historically great player, right?
Right, but here's the difference.
I don't want to be mistaken, right?
No, you're right. You are correct. You are correct.
So I'm saying that all of these teams that I just mentioned have historically great players that can win a championship and potentially will win a championship.
But keep going, Ron. Keep going, Ron.
John G never said nor implied, hey, we don't even need great players anymore. Like, he never said that. He wasn't like, he was just saying you don't need them to have great seasons. That's what he said. He never said, hey, you know what? I know you got a Jokic over here, but nah, you know what? I'm cool with my Tyler Hero. Like, he wasn't doing that. Like, he wasn't saying that. He was just saying gone are the days where you have a superstar and you put a bunch of lower tier role players around him and say, let my superstar get me over the line. That's what he's saying. But if you could build a great roster around a tier 1 superstar, that's obviously going to be better than building a great roster around a tier 2 superstar.
I hate to step in and interrupt this intense yap session that you're currently watching, but I just have to inform you on all the amazing, spectacular, fabulous, endless ways to play and win over at PrizePicks. Basketball fans, I know the season is just tipping off. Yes, I know this. But you know what that means? It means that you have an opportunity to pick your favorite players and their matchups that are the most thrilling, and you can win money from these. With PrizePicks, you can play daily NBA contests and test your hoop knowledge by choosing the player projections and every single stat line imaginable to make your PrizePicks and take home some nice hard-earned cash. Are you a rookie in the game? Don't even sweat it. I got the playbook for you right here. All you have to do is download PrizePicks, use promo code PANEL, and you will get $50 instantly when you play 5 here with PrizePicks. So what are you waiting for? Download PrizePicks, use promo code PANEL, and join me as we break down all of our amazing daily picks right here on the panel. PrizePicks. Run your game, control your game, win your game. It's easy, baby. It's easy.
Like,
and that's cool.
But that's not what he was saying.
Isn't anything new with tier 2 superstars?
That's not what he was saying. That's not what he was saying.
I get that. And I'm pushing back to say that it's still tier 1 superstars are still king.
Yeah,
those are still the queens on the chessboard.
Right. And we get that.
But then we have roster construction. Our two, in my opinion, the 2 best players in the league do not have the elite roster construction around them to go win a championship. They just don't. That's Giannis and that's Jokic. But when you look at Donovan Mitchell and how good their team is and how really well constructed their roster is, or the Boston Celtics or the Oklahoma City Thunder, not even the Lakers. The Lakers may have 2 out of the 3 best players in every series they walk into. But once again, if they see a Cleveland in the finals or if they see an OKC, I will trust their 5 to 9 way more than I would trust Los Angeles. And even though if they have Luka and LeBron, I would still trust the OKC's bench. And that's what matters sometimes.
And to Swiper's point, Swiper was making the point that when you said, Ron, about SGA, we said about Joker, when you said about Giannis, well, where did Denver get Joker? They got him in the draft. Where did Milwaukee get Giannis? They got him in the draft. You're going to see more of that moving forward because of the CBA. Because you're not going to see these guys jumping on units and being max players, 3 and 4 different max players. You're going to see teams building it through the draft more today than you've seen in the past. They got Mobley in the draft. They got Garland in the draft. So you're going to see teams building it where the parity in the league is going to be more like same thing with Memphis. They got Ja in the draft. They got Jaren Jackson in the draft. So you're going to see more of that than you've seen in the past, off the strength that because of the CBA being what it is, and it basically handicaps teams with that second second apron, the teams aren't going to have the flexibility to just go out and grab teams. So GMs are going to have to really GM.
That part I do agree with. I do agree that you are going to have to get it from the mud. If you're a GM, you are going to have to draft your ass off to put together a competent roster. I still do believe, though, that it's all going to boil down to the GM that strikes gold, that finds a diamond mine. And you got to find your Victor Wembanyama's in the draft. You have to find your Shea's in the draft, even though they traded for Shea. You have to be able to, and that could be as lucky as getting a number 1 overall pick. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
you got Cooper Flag,
you're gonna find a Tony Parker, maybe a Manu Ginobili, like somebody.
Find Victor.
I'm saying though, like
they stumbled across Victor Wembanyama.
Okay, but they got lucky enough to get Victor. But
yes,
hey,
absolutely.
You got Victor, and now that
gives you a stronger advantage when building a roster. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then
having a tier 1 superstar gives you an advantage.
Yeah,
because you have that level of player, but you can still be a great team. And I think more so now than ever. I think before it was like there was anomalies, like the 2014 Spurs, great team, didn't have that tier 1 player. They had a bunch of really good players. They relied on depth, relied on ball movement, but they didn't have that guy. They didn't have LeBron, they didn't have Kevin Durant, they didn't have Chris Paul at that time. They didn't have any of those guys, but they were still a great team. So like you can do it. But I just think now more than ever, I think we're looking at rosters where there's a reason the Cavs don't play anyone over like 33 minutes a game because they rely on their depth. It's the reason why the Grizzlies don't play anyone over like 32, 33 minutes a game. It's because they rely on their depth. You don't need to just have one superstar, put role players around them and say, figure it out. That's not, especially in the playoffs, that's not going to work. I just don't believe that's going to work. And if it does work, then all credit to that team that makes it work. But I don't see that being the formula anymore. You need a good team.
And you also, to your point, you do have to strike gold. I mean, I thought Ty Jerome was a gift. Nobody was interested in Ty Jerome, but the Cavs, and they end up bagging him, and he's been great for them. You know, Sam Merrill, I don't think Sam Merrill got drafted, and he was the Mountain West Player of the Year. I'm not sure if he even got drafted. And with that being said, you strike gold with guys like this, and you also get some really good rotation guys in trades, like when you ended up getting Karis LeVert. It just works for your unit, and you're going to have to GM more than anything if you're going to have a competent team and have an opportunity to win the NBA championship. And Miles, I think if I'm not mistaken, to your point, you said that the Cavs are I think they're on pace to win 69 games. You said, I think the Celtics are on pace to win 60 games this year. If I'm not mistaken, 59.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 59,
Right.
59, 60 games this
OKC's
season.
right in that area too.
Yeah, OKC. I think they're on pace to win like 67 games. So
that's the team right there.
Boston are on pace to win 58. Boston are on pace to win 58.
That roster construction that got over there. Okay, see, when you watch them more and more, you just see how seamlessly them dudes fit in together. And the GM and Coach Dagnall, like they did a hell of a job constructing that team. I mean, we obviously during the offseason, when they got Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, we knew that those two are going to fit seamlessly with the squad. But just everybody, how they're just molding together. Aaron Wiggins, what's the kid, Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe. I love to see teams like that where guys that are like, the other guys or whatever, the throwaway guys that people don't expect this.
You know what the crazy thing about OKC is? They have a top 3 projected pick just sitting on just getting healthy.
Right. See, you forget about the kid.
6'6" point guard that can play defense, has a nice little shooting form, can pass.
Hand him over.
He got to go.
They about to have another one. They about to have another 8. They about to have another 8.
They about to get that Philly pick too. Like,
right. And I'm sorry if we weren't at this point yet. But just so that it doesn't go unsaid today, I just want to just point out. Like, I know Memphis got their butts kicked last night, but I did enjoy that game. I liked watching that game. I liked the matchup and everything. And I want to say that J-Dub and GG Wallace, the matchup, J-Dub's better. J-Dub's better. But the matchup between GG Jackson, I'm sorry.
I figured.
I was
Jackson, my bad. The matchup between GG Jackson and J-Dub, that matchup is going to be a great matchup for the rest of the deck for a decade to come. Hopefully they stay in those two teams and get the matchup against each other and go at it. Like I said, J-Dub's better today. He'll probably stay better. I don't know, but the matchup alone, I just love watching them two dudes. That was great last night.
So
Ron,
go ahead, Chill.
Ron, is there a matchup early that could trip the Cavs up? Because I don't think that there's a matchup early that could trip up the Cavs.
Yes, I already brought this up.
I'm not talking about Oklahoma City. I'm talking about the Cavs because that's who we're talking about. We're talking about Cleveland right now. And in the Eastern Conference, is there a matchup early that could trip them up?
Yes.
That could give them trouble.
Indiana.
Pacers.
Do we count that? Do we count the second round as early?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for them. Yeah, for
a team as good as Cleveland. Yeah, I think the second round is early.
Yes.
There's none of the Eastern Conference playing teams are serious teams. Respectfully, none of them are serious. The Cavs, the Magic, the Hawks, and the Bulls.
If it ended today, they should handle Orlando in 4 or 5 games.
The Cavs and the Celtics have a bye in the first round. Like,
I'm not respecting them.
Respect Miami. Miami.
They'll smoke them too. They'll smoke
Miami. If Terry Rozier is playing basketball for them,
you have to respect Miami every single season.
Miami not just gonna get steamrolled, but they gonna get the hell beat out of them.
Wait, what you say about Scary Terry?
If he's playing basketball for the Miami Heat, they're not serious. I don't know.
The reason why I'm asking that is
you've been watching them.
They got Devion though.
They do.
Yes. The reason I'm asking that is because I'm thinking back to teams that were awesome early and often in the regular season. I mean, I watched the Rockets in 2008 win 22 straight games, and I watched them get bounced in round 1 by Utah. Right? I watched the Dallas Mavericks win 67 games and get bounced by Golden State in round 1. I saw that. So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this Cavs team that, they're on a historic run and they're rolling right now. And I'm thinking to myself, is there a team in round 1 or early on that could give them trouble?
No, not in the first round.
Round 1, no. The second rounds, I think Indiana could cause some problems.
I think Indiana can beat a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference.
Is Milwaukee on that side?
Please get in line, John.
4 or 5 seed.
No, please get in line.
I have the Cavs, but I do think you don't want
the Pacers can beat anybody from 3, 2, and 1. They are good enough to do that this year. The issue is will they be able to do it? But
Swiper, where's the issue? Swiper, where's the issue that the Cavs are going to run into if they see Indiana? Because when I think about the Cavs, I'm not even at you. It's just more so. I'm posing the question because I like Indiana. I like Indiana. I do. I love what Indiana's doing. But what I'm asking
you is the conference finals last year.
100%. I mean, good. So what I'm asking, Swiper, is what threat do they pose to the Cavs? Is it depth? Is it their star? Is it on the where are they going to give the Cavs the most trouble in your estimation?
They have the exact thing that you need. They have an offense that can spread you out. Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, we're going to put you in space. We're going to rotate your defense multiple times every single possession. They have an elite pull-up shooter in Tyrese Halliburton. They have an elite post this year, isolation post scorer in Pascal Siakam, who's also a very good one-on-one scorer. He's better in a vacuum. There's an argument, and I wouldn't even think it's crazy because I think he did last year. There's an argument that in a playoff setting, especially given the scoring output he could be better than Evan Mobley in that same series because of his ability to score at 3 level, and especially even as a ball handler driver. Miles Turner, and then having Obi Toppin, having Nesmith. They have multiple defenders that can throw at Darius Garland, who struggled with size, who I think should be 13 All-NBA. They have multiple defenders that can throw at Donovan Mitchell. Their defense is a lot better than what people realize. Like they have players that can actually defend consistently. And then you have Ox's favorite, obviously TJ McConnell. We'll see. That's all going to be like predicated on so many different things.
Jerome versus TJ McConnell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there are so many players on that roster that can get to it and that they know what they're supposed to do. They're one of the best coach teams in the NBA. They've been one of the best teams in the NBA since January. And I think a lot of people, the reason why people are lower on this team because of how they started, because Tyrese Halliburton wasn't himself to start the year off. If you have watched him the last 25 or 30 games, he's been very good. He's been playing at an elite level, scoring at an elite level, playmaking, arguably better than almost anybody in the NBA other than 2 players this year. I think legitimately, if teams are not prepared to play versus the Pacers, including Cleveland, they will get Cleveland out there in 6 if they're not ready for that matchup. But I do expect them to win.
So to counter your argument for Indiana, which is legit, Indiana, one of the main reasons why they thrive is because of their transition, and Tyrese Halliburton is a big part of that. Cleveland's got one of the best transition defenses in the league. That's number one. Number two, their switchability on the perimeter and forcing guys like Nembhard, forcing guys like Nesmith, forcing guys like Mathurin to stay at the long ball line and shoot. In the process of them doing that, they rebound a lot better than people give Cleveland credit for. I think Cleveland they're in the top 10 in rebounding this season. And then I'm going to have Evan Mobley matched up onto Pascal Siakam, to your point. And with Evan Mobley being matched up on Pascal Siakam, I think that could take a lot out of Pascal Siakam on the defensive end, because he's going to exert a lot of energy on the offensive end because he doesn't have the amount of help that Evan Mobley has on the defensive end. So when that translates over to offense, it will be a lot different. When you're talking about a guy in Tyrese Halliburton, I feel like he could be slowed down with different bodies being thrown at him, like Okoro. I feel like why am I losing?
Do you know that? Do you know the Patriots have a better defensive rating this year than the Cleveland Cavaliers since January 1st?
Since January
in 2025. That's
in 2025. They've been the 7th best defense in the NBA in 2025.
One more time.
The Patriots have been the 7th best defense in the NBA in 2025
and the
they got
Cleveland
Cavaliers
and
they're 10th.
Yeah, Pascal's having like the best defensive year since like prime Toronto.
Since it's all NBA season.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Days. Nembhard is like all defensive caliber guards, and I don't say that 100%. To just throw the term out there. He's actually like that level of defender.
Yeah, John Cena, update your resume. You know who you're talking to.
Aaron Nesmith, very good defender. Tyrese Halliburton's improved. The biggest issue I have with them is like rebounding, like defensive rebounding. That was my biggest concern with them against the Knicks last year, but they obviously won that series, injuries and stuff, but they won. And then offensively, like, yeah, Mobley probably will match up with Siakam, but I mean, the Cavs switch a lot, and the Pacers do a good job of getting mismatches. Pascal's going to be attacking Darius Garland, not Mitchell.
All series.
Like, it's very rare.
You're going to be attacking Evan Mobley too. Pascal ain't stunned Evan Mobley.
Yeah. I'm not saying
Evan, you could come get some of this too.
I'm not saying he's going to run from an Evan Mobley matchup, but it's also like teams go for favorable matchups, and the Cavs have 2 really small guards. Pascal Siakam will.
But I'm glad. But here's the difference with that, and this is why I feel like with the Celtics may have the advantage, because when you have a one-on-one matchup with the best defender, more times than not, that best defender is not going to get help because I can handle this. when we know you're mismatch hunting, Donovan Mitchell, we know you're mismatch hunting Darius Garland, we're going to load up to do everything that we can to make sure that you don't take advantage of that matchup. I think the Celtics did that when they ended up having, they went specifically with Jason Tatum after Mobley to get him and Mobley in one-on-one situations. And Jason Tatum, for a large part of the game, took advantage of that. Now, if you're Indiana and you're going to attack Darius Garland, you're going to attack Donovan Mitchell. Well, what you're asking the defense to load up, because we're not just going to leave Donovan Mitchell on an island by himself. We're not going to leave Darius Garland one-on-one by himself, switched on to Pascal Siakam. That's not going to happen. Now, with Pascal Siakam having to deal with Evan Mobley, I think that's a little bit different, but I also think he can be worn down on offense, which is going to affect him defensively.
Indiana want you to send help. That's what opens up the ball movement, the driving kick, everything. Like,
and their point guard.
You play them one-on-one, you probably have a better chance than sending two on the ball or sending soft help. Now you're in rotation, and they're gonna find an open shot. That's what makes Indiana.
You know what?
And I got the Cavs winning. Now, Cavs are better.
100%.
The Cavs winning. But the Pacers do present some matchup problems, and if you are sending help on Pascal Siakam isolations against Darius Garland, you're going to end up giving up an open shot on that possession. I'm like 85% sure of it.
I think the Pacers do a really good job of like making sure everybody on the floor can make those quick decisions, because that's what they're running their offense of. They're not running a heliocentric offense where Tyrese Halliburton is just bringing the ball up the floor and holding the ball for like 75, 85% of the possession. Everybody on the floor can make that quick decision, so therefore they can leverage that to get mismatches, get open shots, have the defense constantly moving, and now everybody on the floor can make decisions out of a defense that's already not prepared or not in their stance. So I think that's what Indiana does really good that doesn't get a lot of credit.
If I'm Indiana and the Cavaliers, and I look at that matchup specifically with Indiana on offense, with Pascal Siakam, I'm not mismatch hunting. Like with Pascal Siakam, I'm
whoever's covering him, go after him.
You eating Evan Mobley. You catch the ball, you're going straight at Evan Mobley. And on the opposite side, if I'm Coach Atkinson, I'm not sending no help either. Like, Evan, that's you. We're not going to play into their game and send help and make him make quick decisions and rotate. Nah, Evan, you're supposed to be the defensive player of your generation. It's time. You
why would the Pacers?
We don't do that no more.
They're not sending help point.
No more. Ox.
They're not sending help point. I agree. They're not sending help point. I agree with. I mean, we watch.
You have to mismatch hunt, Ox.
I mean, no, there's nothing wrong with mismatch hunting, and I'm down for that too.
You don't do that no more. You just
I'm genuinely asking. What's the logic behind Pascal choosing to go at Evan Mobley instead of Darius Garland? Like, why would they opt to have that?
Because apparently they're not switch hunting for whatever reason.
No, that's not it.
I didn't say that.
He said they don't have to. We're trying
right.
I'm not even trying to.
I wasn't even going at you. I'm just saying in just general.
I just want to make it clear that I'm not coming from that stance. I'm you know what I'm saying. I don't think there's anything wrong with mismatch hunting at all. I'm just saying for the Pacers though. You know, I think they might be expecting that a little bit, but also just because I don't think they have to. You know what I mean? I think Pascal Siakam is one of those, especially right now, he's in that bag to where he feels like he doesn't need to mismatch hunt. And we don't got to go through all that. Like it's fine running that offense too. That's cool. But I'm just thinking just from an aggressive standpoint where we don't even have to do that. You know what I mean? Kind of might be kind of like a show of force type thing, but really, I don't think they need to. And on top of that too, I'm just kind of more so coming from I think maybe that's where Ron was coming from. Also, I kind of would like to see that. I would like to see how that showdown goes. But I just don't think they have to mismatch hunt. And mind you, I don't think there's anything wrong with mismatch hunting. Like, that's fine if they do want to go after D Mitch and Darius Garland. That's good basketball.
It sounds to me. Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
You got it.
It sounds to me like Ox just looks at Pascal Siakam as a baller. Whoever's standing in front of me, go after him. We don't have to mismatch hunt because I'm that dude for real. That's what it sounds like to me. Now, of course, it sounds great in theory, but a coach wants the best matchup possible. And if I know Rick Carlisle, who doesn't really run a lot of sets and a lot of junk offense goes on with him, He's looking to get the best possible matchup. And if he could get Darius Garland matched on to Pascal Siakam, he's taking that every day. If he could get Donovan Mitchell matched on to Pascal Siakam, 100% go after him. Don't let him off the hook. But to your point, Pascal Siakam being the player that he is, he's looking at, I don't care if Donovan Mitchell's covering me. I don't care if Darius Garland is covering me. I don't care if Evan Mobley is covering me. Whomever is in front of me, I'm going after him.
And you got to expect that they're game planning for that. Like they're scheming for that. When it's like they're whatever their scheme is, it's something like when we inevitably do mismatch hunt for one of those two guys, this is what we're gonna run. Boom, we're gonna throw this on it. We're gonna throw, like you said earlier. When you got a lesser defender on you, that's when the defense is gonna load up. Well, if we know that that's what they're scheming for, I'm gonna make you look right and go left. We're gonna do this instead. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I was saying. I wasn't making a point like, oh, this is expect to see this. I was just throwing it out there like I don't think they have to do that. And once again, that goes for either team. I don't think Evan Mobley and them guys need to do nothing. Evan, that's a good matchup.
Did Evan Mobley? Would we say Evan Mobley switch hunts a lot, or does that more Garland?
That was going on yesterday. That was going on yesterday. He was covering Bam and him and.
Oh yeah, that's different though. Like I'm getting man off me too.
Well, but him and Bam. Are we talking defensively? Where Evan Mobley has the ball, because really quickly, Miles. When Bam had the ball, they were switching with both Mobley and Allen on the Bam. It wasn't just Mobley specifically covering him. That wasn't his primary matchup.
Yeah, I'm getting Bam off me at all by any means necessary.
For Evan Mobley, but when Evan Mobley does have a switch because of like whatever they do in their pick and roll, whatever. Evan Mobley can punish mismatches, which I think is like one of the biggest guards.
Like if you're
that's the biggest growth for him, I think, from last year. Like last year, he wasn't really punishing those mismatches. This year, like you can't switch.
Man, Evan think he big or something now. Chill. He think he got muscle or something. He be like he'll literally get low ox and then he'll he'll grit his teeth and get out of here, little fella. I'm just like, bro, you way big, bro. You skinny, dog. Get out of my way.
You've seen him do that a couple times this season. You've seen him do that going both ways, left and right, where he'll get a little contact in the lane, get a little lower, take one more step and go dunk.
He's so long, Ox. Like he's tall, but he's long. Like
focus,
have arms like
6'11", Moss.
Yeah,
focus.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's what I'm saying, bro. Now,
he's got a 7'3".
Y'all mind.
He's got a 7'3" wingspan. Focus.
Join way.